A different kind of Fallout story. This one starts very differently. Instead of exploring ruins or talking to NPCs, you pick up a distress signal and track it to a hidden bunker run by a group called the Outcasts. These guys are a rogue branch of the Brotherhood of Steel, obsessed with recovering old-world technology. And they found something big, the simulation. Inside the bunker is a pre-war military simulator designed to recreate one of the most important battles of the past, the liberation of Anchorage, Alaska, from Chinese forces during the Great War. But there's a problem. The system is locked, so they need you. You're plugged into the simulation, and just like that, Fallout turns into something completely different. Enter the war. Inside the sim, you take on the role of an American soldier fighting in the Anchorage campaign against the Chinese Army remnants Anchorage. No inventory management, no scavenging. Everything is structured like a military operation. You get objectives, orders, teammates. It's way more linear than the base game, but that's the point. The missions. You fight through multiple stages of the campaign, sabotaging enemy artillery, sneaking through trenches and mountain passes, leading a squad of soldiers into battle, capturing key strategic points. Eventually, you're tasked with the final objective, taking back Anchorage itself. General Chase. Throughout the simulation, you're guided by General Constantine Chase. He's the commanding officer, and everything about the simulation reflects his personality: strict, controlled, and very idealized. And that's where things start to feel a bit off. Not everything is real. As you go deeper, it becomes clear this isn't a perfectly accurate recreation of history. It's more like a propaganda version of the war. Enemies are simplified, battles are cleaner, victory feels scripted. Because it is. This isn't the real Anchorage. It's how someone wanted it to be remembered. The final push. In the final mission, you storm the city, defeat the last of the enemy forces, and confront the Chinese commander. Once you win, the simulation ends in a clean, heroic victory. No moral choices, no ambiguity, just success, back to reality. But when you unplug, you're back in the bunker and things are tense. The Outcasts argue over what to do with the technology. Trust breaks down. And depending on how things play out, the situation can turn violent. The real reward. Unlike other DLCs, the real payoff here isn't the story, it's what you get after. Access to a sealed armory filled with some of the most powerful gear in the game. Final thoughts. Operation Anchorage is less about choice and more about perspective. It shows you how the old world saw itself: heroic, clean, and in control. But if you've played Fallout before, you know the truth was never that simple. Ever wondered what happens when survival goes too far? That's exactly what you get in the Pit DLC for Fallout 3. So the story kicks off when you pick up a mysterious radio signal from a guy named Warner. He tells you about a place called the Pit, a ruined version of Pittsburgh, and paints it as a nightmare ruled by raiders. According to him, the people there are enslaved, forced to work, and barely surviving. Naturally, he wants your help. Enter the pit. When you arrive, things already feel off. The sky is thick with smoke, everything is rusted, toxic, and falling apart. But here's the twist: you don't just walk in guns blazing. You get captured. To blend in, you're forced to act like a slave, stripped of your gear and thrown into the system. And that's when you really start to see what this place is about. The city is controlled by the Pit Raiders, led by a man named Ishmael Asher. And at first, he seems like exactly what you'd expect a brutal raider boss. Life as a slave. You spend your time doing forced labor, scavenging steel in dangerous areas filled with radiation and mutated creatures. The people around you are broken, sick, and desperate. There's even a disease spreading through the pit that's slowly killing everyone. And this is where Warner's story starts to make sense, at least on the surface. He claims Asher is a tyrant who needs to be overthrown. Your mission: rise through the ranks, gain access to Asher's stronghold, and steal something incredibly valuable. The arena. To earn your way up, you fight in brutal arena matches. It's raw, violent, and honestly one of the most savage parts of the whole DLC. But once you win enough fights, you finally get what you need: access to Asher's palace. The big twist: this is where everything flips. You discover that Asher isn't just some random raider. He's actually a former member of the Brotherhood of Steel who stayed behind to rebuild the city instead of abandoning it. Yeah, not what you expected. and the treasure you were sent to steal. It's a baby, Asher's child, Maria. But she's not just any child, she's a youth with disease-destroying pit, potentially with people. The moral choice. Now you're stuck in a classic Fallout dilemma. Do you side with Werner, steal the baby, and give the slaves a chance at freedom? Or do you side with Asher, who despite his brutal methods is actually trying to rebuild civilization and find a cure for everyone? There's no clean answer here. Werner talks about freedom, but he's clearly powerful. Asher wants progress, but at the cost of slavery and suffering. Either way, someone wins. Ending. The signal. It all starts with a strange radio transmission. Not a distress call, not music, something alien. You track it down to a crashed UFO site, and the moment you get close, you're abducted. No warning, no choice. Just a bright flash, and you're gone. Welcome aboard. You wake up inside an alien spaceship, completely stripped of your gear, locked in a holding cell. This is the domain of the Zetan aliens, silent, hostile, and way more advanced than anything in the wasteland. And right away, you realize something important. You're not the first human they've taken, the captives. You meet a group of other prisoners, each taken from different points in time. A samurai named Toshiro Kago, a cowboy, Paulson, a soldier from the Anchorage campaign, Elliot Terkorian, and a young girl named Sally, who's been surviving on the ship for years. It's a weird mix, but it works, because now, you're all trying to escape. Breaking out, with Sally's help, you manage to break free from your cell and start moving through the ship. You recover alien weapons, fight through Zetan forces, and slowly push deeper into the ship's core systems. And the more you explore, the clearer it becomes. This ship has been abducting humans for a long time. The Dark Discovery. At one point, you gain access to observation areas, and even weapon systems, and then you see it. The aliens aren't just studying Earth, they've attacked it before. There's even a moment where you witness the destruction of an entire area, implying the Zetans may have been responsible for catastrophic events in human history. It's never fully explained, but it's heavily implied, turning the tables. Eventually, your mission changes from escaping to taking control. You fight your way to the command deck, disable key systems, and take out the alien leadership. And then you do something Fallout has never really done before. You take over the ship, face battle. Yeah, it gets even crazier. Another alien ship shows up, and suddenly you're in a full-on space battle, using the ship's weapons to defend yourself and destroy the enemy. This isn't the wasteland anymore. This is Fallout. In space. Ending. After the battle, the immediate threat is gone. You've defeated the aliens, secured the ship, and gained access to some of the most powerful technology in the entire game. But just like with the other DLCs, there's no big celebration, no grand ending. You just return to the wasteland, except now, you know something terrifying. We were never alone. Final thoughts. Mothership Zeta is pure chaos in a good way. It leans fully into Fallout's weird side, mixing retro sci-fi, dark humor, and action into something completely different from the base game. No deep moral choices this time. Just survival, discovery, and a little bit of revenge. You actually buy a ticket and take a riverboat to Point Lookout, a remote, swampy location far from the capital wasteland. Right away, something feels off. Thick fog covers everything, the air feels heavy, and the further you go, the more it feels like you've stepped into a completely different world. First impressions. You arrive at a rundown dock and meet the locals. And yeah, they're not exactly welcoming. Out in the swamp, you encounter the swamp folk, heavily mutated, aggressive, and way tougher than most enemies you've seen before. These guys don't just rush you, they hunt you. The real story begins. The main storyline kicks off when you get involved with a man named Desmond Lockhart. He's hiding out in an old mansion, under constant attack from enemies he refuses to fully explain at first. But it doesn't take long to realize this isn't just random violence. This is personal, a war that never ended. Desmond reveals he's been locked in a centuries-long conflict with another man, Professor Calvert. And yeah, it's not a normal rivalry. Because when you finally learn the truth, it gets weird fast. Calvert isn't a person anymore. He's a disembodied brain, kept alive by machines, manipulating events from the shadows and communicating directly with you through your mind. Mind games, At this point, the DLC shifts hard into psychological territory. Calvert starts talking to you, trying to convince you to turn against Desmond. He promises knowledge, power, maybe even more. Meanwhile, Desmond is cold, calculating, and completely obsessed with ending Calvert once and for all. Neither of them is clean. Neither of them is trustworthy. The choice. And just like classic Fallout, you're forced to choose. Help Desmond destroy Calvert and end the conflict his way. Or side with Calvert, betray Desmond, and let something far more unpredictable take control. There's no heroic ending here. Just consequences. The tone of Point Lookout. What really makes this DLC stand out isn't just the story, it's the atmosphere. You've got strange, cult-like groups like the Tribals of Point Lookout, eerie locations, hallucination-like moments, and a constant feeling that something isn't right. It's less about action, and more about tension. Final thoughts. Point Lookout feels different from everything else in Fallout 3. It's slower, creeper, more mysterious. Instead of a big war or saving the wasteland, you're just stuck in the middle of something ancient, personal, and deeply messed up. And when it's over, the swamp doesn't change, it just waits.